Okay. Okay. So let me share the screen. Oh, again, iPhone 96. I think we had this.
Hi, this is Dhananjay Gawande.
Yeah, okay. I remember last time also you had this.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You might want to change it because otherwise it's a little confusing.
Okay, I'll try to do that.
Yeah, if you just hover your mouse on the name, it will give you the option to rename it.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So
But
you guys can see the screen, right?
yes, Vashi, can see.
Okay. So again, just a quick question. If anybody has any questions before we begin, based on whatever we have learned so far, anything, any question related to Sanskrit that comes to mind, you can go on. Everyone comfortable? All right. So again, this is a very, very basic kind of an introduction. My main emphasis here is to learn the Sanskrit alphabet and also to recognize some of these sounds which are not commonly available in English or other non-Sanskrit languages. Okay, become familiar with it, and then get to understand some of the very basic characteristics of the language. Get introduced to some of the structure of the sentences, etc. So, okay, so very, very basic. All right. So again, the main the sounds which are difficult for non-Sanskrit people are, these aspirated sounds. So like this one is soft, ka like in kite or something, right? Which is fine. But this is ka. Okay, does everyone know how to pronounce that now? Ka.
Yes.
If you have any questions, let me know. You can try it on your own and then see if that sounds the way I'm sounding it. Ka. And this is ga, soft ga, but then this is ga. It's an aspirated sound. You make a lot of air comes out of the mouth when you apply this, sound. Okay, same thing. In every one of these, there's a softer sound. There's a much aspirated sound. Cha, cha, ja, ja. Same thing. Ta, ta, da, da. Ta, ha, da, da. Okay. Same pa, pa, ba, ba. So these, the second and the fourth column is something that you really need to pay very special attention to. And then there are the three kind of S sounds, you can call them S sounds in English. So sh, sh, sa. So this is from the palate. This is from the kind of a little bit behind the palate, all right? And this is dental, from the dental. Sh, sh. Now, let me know if you don't hear the distinction between these two. Sh, sh. Does everyone hear the distinction?
Yes. Again.
Okay. Who does not? I want to make that understood, Who does not understand the distinction between sh, sh? Everyone okay?
Sure. How is it? Please repeat back, Subhashi. Sure.
The first one is sh. It's from the very the middle part of the palate. Then this is sh, slightly behind the middle part of the palate. Sh, sh. And this is dental, sa, sa. Okay. Do you want to repeat them, Manjushri?
No, Hoini. Sha. I don't think I'm doing right.
Go
Sha.
ahead. Go ahead.
Sha. And sha. I can. Is it one is we call sha.
What is this one? The third one.
This one? Which one is the oh.
Third one. Yeah. Can you see my marker, my pointer?
Yeah, I can. So what is that pronounce? How does it pronounce?
Sa,
Sha.
sa, sa.
Yeah.
Like this, sa.
This. Okay. This. Sha. This.
No, not sha. When you say this, there's this sa sound, sa. Say that again.
This.
Manjushri.
Sha. Sha.
Manjushri.
This. I don't think I can do it. I don't think.
This ends with the sa sound, this, right? Thus. I want you to make the same sound when you just do it individually now. Sa.
Sa.
Okay, wonderful. Sa. So, I'm just digressing a little. In Bengali, you always say, this is Dantasha, this is Murdhanya, this is Talabya. Do you know these
Shaws
words?
in Bengalis. 4 shaws. Talbusha, Petkaramunusha, Dantasha.
Yes, so
Another
this is
shaw. There's
Danta,
4 shaws.
the dental is
3 shaws.
Sa. Is Sa. Sa.
Mm.
Right. Anyway. Okay, so you have to make special, because Bengali have the same sound for all these three. You have to make special effort to distinguish between these these sounds, three sounds. Okay, let's move on. So we went over all this, 48 letters and 15 vowels and all that. So then we also said that, these vowels can be short, long, or very long. Okay, so they're Rasva, Dirgha, and Pluta, they are called in Sanskrit. And consonants, we already saw that. Consonants, these are the 25 consonants which are called sparsha. In English, they call it mute. I don't know why they call them mute. Okay? And then we have where did I? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay, so the semi-vowels, remember the semi-vowels? Ya, ra, la, va, that's the semi-vowels. And the next category is sibilants, Ushman. Sibilants is where we make a sound, that's the hissing or the hot sound, hot, soft, hot air comes out. Sh, sa, ha. Okay, they are called sibilants in English. Okay, so then anything else here? Then there are two support vowels. Okay, two support vowels, ang, aha. So this is called the nasal anuswara. Ang, aha is when you place a pair of dots at the end of the letter. Okay, the sound becomes aha, ha. All right, that's called. So there are these two special kind of sounds. They are the support vowels, anuswara and visarga. All right. And then, of course, there are all kinds of combined, conjuncts or joined letters, words that can become few of them which are usually placed along with the alphabet. Ksha, tra, and ya. Tra is missing here. I don't know why. Ksha, tra, and ya. Okay. So these are normally made a part of the alphabet, but there are hundreds and thousands of other combinations that you can do. Okay. So that's how these letters are kind of arranged and understood. Okay. And where the position of the tongue is, that is the most important part of the Sanskrit alphabet, because the pronunciation, is done by placing the tongue in different parts of the palate. Okay, so the first line, which is ka varga, it's called ka varga, or the ka group. Okay, the English name is guttural. All right, and in Sanskrit it's called kanthastha, kanthasya. Kantha is the throat area, so it's very back of the palate. It's the throat area, so that's where you have to make the tongue go all the way back. Ka, kha, ga, gha, all the way back. Slightly ahead of that, the next one, cha, cha, ja, jha. Okay, and little more further up, ta, ta. This is the very front part of the palate. Ta, ta, da, da. And then this is dental. This is where you will actually touch the tongue to the back of the teeth. Ta, ta, da, da. Okay, that's where you touch the tongue to the teeth. And this is labial, which is where you actually close the lips. Okay, so the lips will be closed when you create these sounds. Pa, pa, ba, ba. All right? So very important to understand where the position of the tongue is.
Subhashi, I have a question. So why is the fifth sound missing in each? Because I think they also follow the same guttural
Yeah, but
palatal.
they have been separated out as anuswara. Okay, so
Oh, okay.
nasal sound. So because they also include the nasal sounds, so they separated them out. This is more emphasizing the main letters. Okay, you're right.
Okay,
They
thank
also
you.
can create the same sound. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And these are just examples of some English words which might include these sounds, and you can go through them at your own. So we went through these pronunciation of some of the words in yoga, okay, or I mean just to kind of show the diacritics, right? So these marks which are placed either on top of the letter or under the letter, etc., they are called diacritic marks, and they are internationally recognized marks. Okay, so for example, this one, asana, okay, because the second letter, second A is not long, so it is s. The first one is long, so it is a. Similarly, with the last A, it's short, asana, so it becomes asana. Okay, try not to say it asana or something, that doesn't make sense. Same thing, pranayama. Last letter is short, pranayama. Dhyana. Okay, so similarly, all these sounds, we went through this the other day, so just to, this is a quick kind of a review of what we've done so far. And again, like I mentioned, this word Shirshasana, right? Now that's the one which includes all those three S sounds, all the three. Shirshasana. Okay, they're a little tricky if you're not familiar with these sounds. All right, headstand. So try to pronounce these on your own, and make sure you are able to recognize the sounds which are either long or they are under the like under the letter. There, those marks are there. Okay, in some cases.
Subhashi,
Yes.
can I try whether I don't know whether I make good, no,
Please.
good. Shirshasana.
So
The other version.
So the first one is a little bit ahead. That's the more in the the frontal palate, and then the next sha is the back of the palate. So
Shirshasana.
Yes, that's very good. Yep, you got it.
Shirshasana.
Beautiful. Yes.
Oh,
very nice.
Thank you.
Yep, that's the one. All right. Any questions, please ask. That's the whole idea now, is to get any doubts clarified. Okay, same thing, I don't want to go through this list. It's just a a few yoga-related terms, ahimsa, ananda, and all that, just random. I mean, there's absolutely no structure to this, just very randomly I picked a few words. You can try them later. And same thing, more yoga-related terms. I mean, if you want to look at a few of them, like this is Nadi Shuddhi. Nadi Shuddhi, that's the alternate nostril breathing. We all know Namaste, Nirodha, etc. I think these are common words. I don't want to go through this list. If you have any questions, like I said, ask. If you find any word which you really want to understand the pronunciation, check with me. Okay, these are the numbers now. I think I should go through this list, and I would like you to repeat after me, because these are numbers 1 to 10, and you eventually you'll have to memorize these. Okay, so start by 1, which is ekam. Repeat after me. Ekam.
Ekam. Ekam.
Dve.
Dve.
Trini.
Trini.
Now this na, this trini, this is the second na. See if you notice there's a dot under the n. Okay, so there's a distinction between these two sounds. One is na, the other is na. Okay, so a little bit back. So it is trini. Chatvari.
Chatvari.
Pancha.
Pancha.
Shat. Now this, if you recognize this sh, this is the second sh, not the first one. So the sound is from the little bit further back of the palate, okay? Shut. All right, the tongue goes a little further back. Shut. Sapta. Ashta. Same thing, that sh is still the same sh, the back of the palate. Ashta. Nava. Okay, so don't pronounce this Nava or something, because there is no bar on top here. So it's Nava, Nava. Both are short. Same thing with Dasha, Dasha. All right. So here the bar, that little mark is on top of the S. So that shows it is the first sh, frontal part of the palate, Dasha. All right.
And sir would not have any mark on top of the
Sa will
ends,
not,
right?
sa will not have any mark. Just S is sa.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to read these. In classical Sanskrit, the only punctuation used is full stop or a paragraph end mark. But in modern usage, most of the common punctuations used in English have been introduced in Sanskrit now. So if you read the modern literature, you will see commas and colon and semicolon and all that. But if you the old literature, nothing. No punctuation marks. If you read a book by Kalidas, for example, there will be no punctuation marks there. Just the full stop or a paragraph mark. And then there are 3 genders: masculine, feminine, and neuter. I think I gave you the example that, remember in English, if you talk of something neuter, anything that is inanimate is considered to be neutral, neutral gender in a sense, in English, right? That's not so in Sanskrit. Okay? In Sanskrit, when you learn a word, you have to know its gender. You have to learn it along with its gender. Because why that gender? There is absolutely no rhyme and reason in Sanskrit. It's very, very tricky in that sense. A quick example, right? A tree, for example. The word for tree is, anybody remember the word?
Vriksh.
Vriksha, right? Now, vriksha is, normally if you say vriksha is an inanimate, okay, so would it be neutral gender? No, it's masculine gender. Vriksha is a masculine gender. And then vriksha has what? Fruits, right? The word for fruit is
Phalam.
Phalam. Phalam is neutral gender. So it grows on a vriksha, which is masculine gender. Its phalam is neutral gender. And a branch of the tree is called what?
Ha.
Hmm?
Shakha.
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 Shakha. Now shakha is feminine gender.
Yeah.
So a fruit or a leaf on a tree is neutral gender. The branch is a feminine gender, and tree itself is masculine gender. Okay? So be very careful. So learn the gender along with the word that anytime you pick a new word. And then
Is there any like in Hindi we say गाड़ी चलती है.
yes,
We don't say गाड़ी चलता है. So chalta is for masculine, chalti is for feminine. So something like that is in Sanskrit, like when we describe.
no.
No.
So
Oh.
whether it is masculine or feminine, the verb doesn't change. It's same like, sa gachati. Okay, she goes, sa is she. If I say she goes, sa gachati, and if he goes, sah gachati. Gachati doesn't change. Okay, but what is giving us the clue is the first word, sah or sa.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
The case
Subhashi,
is yeah.
for example, adya pakaha, adhyapika.
Yes.
The root are very similar, but we can make some changings and becomes male and female.
Yes, very true. Very true. Good observation. The roots are the same, but by creating a little difference in how you do the ending, that will make it change it from masculine to feminine. Very good.
But it is only for people or some animals, right?
Everything,
For example,
everything,
for everything?
everything. Yes, you can make a
Ah,
masculine and feminine from everything.
okay. If there is a real gender difference.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the three genders, and there are three numbers: singular, plural, and dual. And there are 7 case endings. Okay, like I mentioned, unlike in English and other languages like Hindi or in English, you have to add another word. For example, if I say, from Rama, so from is a different word and Rama is different. But in Sanskrit, we'll say Ramat, and very clearly it says it's from Rama. Same thing, Ramam will mean to Rama. All right?
But
Ramasya would mean Rams.
if it were a female like Rama, it would be different, right? Because I remember vaguely
Yes.
something
Yes.
about that. And yeah.
The case endings are
And
different.
someone mentioned
Case endings are different for all kinds of ending letters of the word, and I'll talk to about that just briefly. That's the key part of Sanskrit language, that you have to learn these endings very individually, and you have to memorize these. That's the most hardest part of Sanskrit language. I'll come to that. Okay. So there are different ways to conjugate the nouns and different ways to conjugate the verbs. Okay, and the verbal declensions are based on the root word. It's called dhatu in Sanskrit. Dhatu. Dhatu is the root word. Okay, and then of course the declension will vary based on the person, number, tense, etc. And we're not going to go through all the grammatical structures here, but just a very quick note here. Remember, first, the person, when he says person here, it means either it's the first person, second person, or the third person that we say in English, right? All right. So I'll talk about that a little bit later, just briefly. Okay. And the number, of course, we know, and then tense, in Sanskrit, they are called lakara. Tense is called lakara. Okay, and there are 10 of these. Okay, we're not going to go through that, but they're basically some variations of past, present, and future. And there are some which are more like giving an order or making a request. All they're also called lakaras. Okay, so total of 10. Okay. Now, in general, when we make a sentence, all the adjectives must follow the noun that they are qualifying. Okay, that's very important part of this structure here. So all the adjectives. So, a quick example would be just any adjective, right? A good book or a readable book or something like that. That's an adjective, right? So a book is what? Pustakam, right? Pustakam. And good will be something like samyak, right? Samyak pustakam, or there are lots of different examples, right? So all the adjective will follow the noun in quality, number, and gender, etc. Now, there is a very strong emphasis on active and passive voice. In English, normally they will say try not to use passive voice in English. Most of the time, if you write a sentence in English and in Microsoft Word, it will always underline it's a passive voice, make it to active voice. Not so in Sanskrit. Sanskrit loves passive voice. Sanskrit loves passive voice, and it's used everywhere. Okay.
So I have something funny to share on that.
Yeah, please.
Like in Hindi, a lot of passive voices spoken as well, right? So a lot of people in India, even me included, right? I used to speak English in passive voice quite a bit, which I had to change over the years because my English teacher was Anglo-Indian. So, so she made sure that we all spoke properly. So that was something fun. I studied in the north for a few years, and that's how, I know some Hindi. So that's how I learned that in the US everybody speaks active voice, but still there is some passivity in my language too, which comes from what we spoke.
Yeah. In Sanskrit, lots of passive voices.
Right.
Oh, simple example. I read, for example, right? If I say I read, the Sanskrit will be aham patami. Aham patami. But you will see, and if you convert that into a passive voice, maya pathyate. Okay. So maya pustakam pathyate, right? So how will you translate that in English? The book is being read by me, or something like that, Maya pathyate. Okay. But that's very common in Sanskrit, passive voices.
Especially, also this is absolutely very similar in Turkish.
I see.
And for example, but we in fact 20 years ago, until 20 years ago, this is it is bad to say every time I, to say I. And even if we are talking with I, our elders say that no, it is not good, because if you should say something with I, you should use it in a passive form.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Also, the subject is hidden in Turkish. For example, can we say pustakam patami without aham?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine in Sanskrit.
Okay.
That's perfectly
So
fine.
also it is hidden. The subject is hidden in Sanskrit too.
Yes, it can be hidden in Sanskrit. Many times either the subject is hidden or sometimes even the verb is hidden. Sometimes you have to assume the verb.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The Turkish also verb-based language.
Okay.
Only one word can express a sentence.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh?
Wonderful. Yeah, that's similar.
Nice.
Very similar. Very again a silly example in Sanskrit about passive. So if I say I go, right? I go. So what's the Sanskrit for that? Aham gacchami. Okay. Now in English, I go, right? There's no passive for that. You cannot make a passive sentence. But in Sanskrit, perfectly fine. Maya gamyate. Okay. Maya gamyate would mean going is being done by me. Something like that. But it's very common. Very, very common in Sanskrit. Maya gamyate, going is being, or the act of going is being done by me, something like that. I mean, there is no translation in English for that.
For example, Maya Mandiram Gamyati.
Yes, absolutely.
Like that.
Yes. Absolutely, you're right. Okay, and then there are tenses and modes and all. Again, we don't want to go into all that because this is more grammatical now we're going to do. But there are some words which are non-declinable. They never change. Na, cha, and there's a whole list of non-declinable words. And there are other rules of grammar which will combine words together. Okay, so there are some which are based on the sound, which are called sandhi. Okay, and there are others which are based on the vibhakti and all that, which is called samasa. Okay, and in Sanskrit you will see, if you read some of the text, people would have, the authors would have made a single word combining 7, 8, 10 words all together, and each, they will keep combining, and then eventually it becomes one word. And there was an example somebody gave of about almost like 18 words put together into a single word, and then it's a challenge to break that into pieces. Okay, so that's called a samasa. Right. And then, of course, sandhi. Sandhi is very common in Sanskrit, where you probably will see, for example, here, all these are sandhi words. The very first one is tadasana. Okay, that's a sandhi. There it's combination of two words, tada plus asana. Okay, and it becomes one word, tadasana. Okay, so you combine those two words. Shavasana, same thing. Shwanasana, all these are.
But
Swavasana. Swavasana.
how is it?
Say that again. Question?
We call it Savasana, Savasana,
Oh,
Savasana.
No, this is Shwanasana. Shwanasana. Shwan is a dog. Adho Mukha Shwanasana.
Kusanasana, Swanasana.
Okay, so that's the dog, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog.
Swanasana.
So I just wanted to give you an example of the sandhi, or how do you combine. So for example, this word namaskara, right? Surya namaskara. Namaskara is a combination of two words. The first one is namaha and the second one is kara. Namaha plus kara. Now, how does the letter S get interjected in between? That's the rule of sandhi. That's how sandhi rules are made. Okay, depending on what the last letter is, and depending on the first letter of the next word, there are rules of sandhi. Okay, so between namaha and kara, when you join them, the S gets added in between. Namaskar.
So what happened when you say malam sarirasya vaidya cha vaidya tena cha? What is that cha?
Cha is
Malam
and.
sarirasya cha, huh?
Cha means and. Cha, and.
And malam sarirasya cha vaidya tena.
Yes, and. Cha means and.
So if sandhi adds that extra sa, is or sa,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What is being added in tadasana?
No, that's not being added
Like,
here.
why is that a sandhi?
It's a sandhi because there are two
Word.
sounds which have been combined into one word now. Tad plus
Okay. And
asana.
so what differentiates that from being samasa?
Samasa is a combination. Samasa is like, for example, let's pick a word Neelakantha. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Neelakantha, all right? Do you know what that means?
Blue throat.
Blue
Blue
throat.
throated.
But
Neela
The
is
Shiva,
blue and Kantha
Shiva,
is
right?
throat.
Shiva, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Neelakantha is a samasa word because it says one whose kantha is blue, whose throat is blue, whose neck is blue.
Oh,
Okay. All those things
Oh,
are
it's
now
like
combined into
Pitambar.
one word. Okay. And then, of course, it represents another person. Neelakantha represents somebody totally different, which has nothing to do with the words Neel and Kantha in that sense. Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
Shiva has nothing to do with Neela and Kantha. It just happens to have a throat which is blue. That's it. So these are
Oh, okay. So
characters of samasa.
so samasa is more like different kinds of descriptions that are together. Like Pitambara is
Yes,
another
exactly.
Pitho
That's a samasa.
Ambarjiska, which
That's a
that's a
samasa.
samasa.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay, thank you. There
yeah,
are quite a few examples and they are standard, right?
yeah,
These
yeah, yeah.
samasas.
Samasa,
Okay.
very, it's a very detailed topic. In fact, if you look at the grammar text, they'll have a huge section on samasa. It's a very large section.
Mm-hmm.
Subhaji, that
Okay.
tha,
Thank you.
that's tha. I don't think it has any place in English, right? Like if you do it Nilkantha, Kantha, is it THHA or I
T-H-A.
don't know.
Kantha, T is a capital T.
Ah,
Kantha, Neelakantha.
but that if you put it in English word,
Yeah, yeah.
that Nilakantha, I don't think we can do that exactly, can we? No.
You have to use these diacritical marks. Remember?
Ah,
These marks are there, diacritical marks. Okay? So
yeah,
you have
yeah.
to use
Thank you.
these.
Ah,
See this here?
yeah, I got it.
Tha. So when you say tha, there is a
Ah,
dot placed under the T here. I don't know
ah,
if you can see that.
it's not visible, but okay.
Yeah. So there's a dot under the T for tha. Let me
Ah,
see if I can. Uh, okay, so see this here?
yeah,
Now you can see the tha. There's a dot under the T.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
That's how you represent that in English.
okay,
Okay, so
got it.
otherwise, without the dot, it will be pronounced as tha. This is the tha without the dot. The T is pronounced as tha, very soft tha. So
Yeah,
when you put the dot, it's ta. When you follow the dot with the H, it's ta. Okay?
okay.
Okay, so where are we? So there's another example. I think I gave you an example. The most words in Sanskrit denote properties of an object, not the object directly by itself. Okay? So there are millions of examples. I just picked two or three, few here. So for example, the word for tree is vriksha. Okay? The literal meaning of the word vriksha is one that can be felled or cut. Okay, so you can fell and cut anything that you want. Okay, even a human being, but but that name has now been assigned to a tree. That explanation. Same, another word for tree is padapa. You will see that in many translations. Padapa. What does it mean? One that drinks water through the feet. Pada is water, pa is to drink. So something that drinks water through these feet, that's padapa. It's a tree. All right. Then same thing for a bird, khaga. The bird is called a khaga. Okay. One that goes in the sky. The kha means sky, ga means to go. So khaga means one who goes in the sky. So, for example, today in modern days, an airplane, could be called a khaga. But normally, when you say khaga, it will be only a bird. Same thing, pakshi. Pakshi is one who has wings. Any entity that has wings, okay, now that becomes only, it now applies to bird only. Okay. So I'm just giving a few examples. Wealth, for example. Wealth is called dhana, dhanam or dhana, right? Dhana means something that is expendable, that you can spend. That anything that you can spend, that could be called a dhana, but now it is wealth. Okay. Lotus is called pankaja, one that is born in mud, pank. Mountain is an achala. Achala means something that moves. When you add the prefix a, it means something that doesn't move. So anything that doesn't move could be called an achala, but now when you say achala, it will represent the mountain. So that's a very, very beautiful aspect of Sanskrit. These names represent actually the characteristic or the properties of that object.
Subhash, just a quick word. Does Nachala also means same as Achala?
Say that again. What word?
Nachala.
Nachala. There's no, I don't know if there is a word as nachala.
Oh, okay. Because na negates many things.
Yeah, but there's no such word as
Okay.
nachala. I know nad negates it, but it gets changed in different places, okay? But in this case, is the use, achala. All right. And then most words in Sanskrit are derived from root words. And there are, in fact, there is a total of 2012 root words in Sanskrit, dhatus they are called. And many, all the words in Sanskrit basically are derived from these dhatus, millions and millions of words. Okay, many words can be made from the same dhatu with the addition of prefixes and suffixes and applying the rules of grammar. Okay, very quick kind of an example here. One of the common dhatu, one of the common root words is kri. Okay, that's here kri. Okay, that means to do. Kri means to do. And there are thousands of words which can be made by kri. Okay, krita, for example. Krita is something that has been done or completed. Kartavya, something that has to be done, which is duty. Karta, someone who is the doer of something, one who is doing something. Karmakara, one who is actually helping people, other people out by doing service, servant or a worker. Prakriti, nature, all these are derived from the same root word krit. And like I said, there are hundreds of other words that can be done. Same thing with bhu. Bhu means to be. Okay, bhu means to be. Right here. The meaning I should write here. That's the meaning of the word to be. Again, many words. Bhu has, again, hundreds of words that can be done. Bhavishya is future. Bhavana is a dwelling or a building. Bhuta is either the past or any living entity is called bhuta. Also, a ghost is called a bhuta. All kinds of different words. Okay. So that's the dhatu. And this is how then we go into the, like I mentioned, all the nouns, they have declensions. They're called vibhakti. So the word for declension is vibhakti. That word you have to remember, vibhakti. And these are the charts that in the beginning, you have to memorize them. Okay. And once you start memorizing them, then and you get a good feel of how they are used, then some of the other, you can actually, kind of get to know by just understanding the words. Okay. But a lot of these are to be memorized. And because there are so many different endings, it becomes impossible to memorize everything. Therefore, you have to know where to look for them, okay? You have to have a book which has a list of all these, and you have a doubt, go and look into the book. And these days, much of this is available online. So once you have access to some of these websites, they'll tell you how to decline these words, okay? So this is a declension for the word deva. Deva means a divine being or a god or a celestial being. So again, because this is so important to learn these endings, I would like you to repeat after me each of these endings. So what's happening is there are, there are called these vibhaktis, right? So the first one is called prathama, for example, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and eighth, etc. All right, but they will represent the meaning of each word. All right. So I gave you the example. Ramasya means of Ram, belonging to Ram. Okay. So this one is the first line, which is called nominative. So when a person is doing something, then he becomes the doer. That is represented by the first line, the person who is doing something. It's called karta. Okay. So repeat after me. These are singular, dual, and plural. All right. So repeat after me. Devaha,
Devaha.
devau,
Oh.
devaha.
Devaha.
So again, devaha, devau, devaha. Okay, this is what you have to memorize. All right. Devaha means one deva. One deva who's doing something. Devau means two of them who are doing something. And devaha means plural, more than two who are doing something. So they are the karta. They are the first line always represent the one who is actually the doer of some action. Okay. Then this is vocative. Vocative means how you will address that person. All right. So if I were to say, hey Deva, do something for me. All right. If I have to address somebody, then that's how you would address. Okay. This is addressing somebody. Deva, that's
Deva.
one single person. Devau
Devau.
and Devaha. As you notice, there are differences only between in the singular. The nominative is Devaha, and the vocative, when you address somebody, it's Deva, not Devaha. The other two are the same. So if you're addressing two Devas, you'll say, hey Devau. Okay? That's called vocative, how to address this person. Okay? And this line is accusative, which is who is receiving the action. Okay? So Devam, again, Devam, Devau, Devan.
Devan.
Okay, now this is, for example, if I were to say, I am giving the book to Deva, right? So I am giving the book to Deva. That the to Deva becomes accusative, all right? So aham devam pustakam dadami. Just a quick example. Aham devam pustakam dadami. That I'm giving the book to Deva. Okay? All right. So same thing if I'm giving the book to two people, okay? So same thing, aham devau pustakam dadami. Okay. Now this is instrumental. Okay. Who is the doer of the work? Done by something. Okay. So devena, repeat this, devena, devabhyam,
Devabhyam.
devaihi,
Devaihi.
devaihi. Okay.
Devaihi.
This is done by Deva. Okay, so let's say I gave the example, right? The book is being read by Deva, for example. So Devena pustakam pathyate. That's how we'll say by Deva, this work is being done. Devena pustakam pathyate. The book is being read by Deva. Okay? Then two of them Devabhyam and plural Devaihi. Now the next one is dative, which is for something. So let's repeat after me. Devaya,
Devaya,
Devabhyam,
Devabhyam,
Devebhyah.
Devabhyah.
Okay, so again for somebody. So let's say I want to sing a song for for somebody, Deva, just because Deva is here, right? So aham Devaya Gayami. Gayami means to sing. Okay. Aham Devaya Gayami. Okay. Devaya. For somebody. Okay. Or aham Mandiraya Dhanam Dadami. For the temple, I am giving wealth or money. Okay. So for Mandiraya aham Dhanam Dadami. Dadami is to give. I'm just giving simple examples. So this is from this is for something. Then this ablative is from. So Devat, Devabhyam, Devebhya. So once again, repeat after me. Devat,
Devat,
Devabhyam,
Devabhyam,
Devebhya.
Devebhyah.
Okay. So from. Okay. So I'm getting this book from Deva. So aham Devat. Okay. Pustakam prapnomi. I'm receiving this book from Deva. So aham Devat Pustakam prapnomi. I'm receiving. Prapnomi means I'm receiving book. Okay. So it is from. So as you see, this becomes very beautiful, very powerful way of representing all the actions that are done by the noun. Same thing, genitive devasya. So repeat after me. Devasya,
Devasya,
devayoho,
Devayoho,
devanam.
Devanam.
This is something that belongs to somebody, right? So if I say this is Dev's this is Dev's book, so I'll have to say idam devasya pustakam. Idam devasya means of Deva. In English, apostrophe S, Dev's book, apostrophe S, right? This is Devasya means belonging to somebody. Devasya pustakam. Then this is locative, on something or on top of something, under something, that's Deve. Okay, so repeat after me. Deve,
Deve,
Devayoho,
Devayoho,
Deveshu.
Deveshu.
Okay, so it's on something. Okay, so this is how it is declined, on something. All right. So I have the same chart. This is the same chart in Devanagari. Okay, so again, Devaha, Devau, Devaha. This is how you'll memorize this. Devam, Devau, Devan, Deven, Devena, Devabhyam, Devaihi. You have to memorize this whole chart.
Yeah, we learned to remember.
What's that?
I think Subhashi, we did this in 5th grade. We had to memorize the whole Rama, Rama, Rama.
Exactly. We have to do that. Yes, that few you have to memorize. Few most important ones. Okay.
Subhashi, this particular, what is that called?
Vibhakti.
Gayatri mantra Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Jona Prachodayat. So
Yes.
that is the Devasya, the same thing, right? Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Jona
Devas.
Prachodayat.
Yes.
Okay. That's a part of the that mantra.
Yes.
What is that? I forget that. Yeah. Okay. Same Devasya. Okay.
Same Devasya. Very good. Now, so this is how the nouns are declined. And like I said, every ending, so for example, this Deva is called Akaranta because it ends in A. Okay, Deva, Va. Okay, verb added by A, that becomes Akaranta. That means ending in A. Now, if there is something like, Mala, for example, right? Or Sheila, right? Now that ends in R, long R, okay? And that's a feminine gender. So there'll be a totally different declension for Sheila. You get the idea? Totally different, okay? Mala, for example, Mala, okay? Pankaj, you have written Mala, all right? Same thing, when if it's an E ending like Manjushri will have a very different way of conjugating these words, Manjushri, all right? Every one of these you have to memorize and learn separately. All right. Now this is the conjugation for verbs, okay? So I've just given a very quick review of the verb gum. Gum is the main root word called dhatu, gum, to go. And the declensions are, repeat after me, gacchati,
Gacchati.
gacchavaha.
Gacchavaha.
No, this is wrong. Oh boy. Sorry.
Gachami is the first one,
This
right?
one. I got it wrong.
Or
It's gacchami.
okay.
Okay, it should be gacchami. I typed it wrong. Gacchami,
Gacchami.
gacchavaha,
Gacchavaha.
gacchamaha.
Gacchamaha.
And that's the aham. Aham means I. That's called first person. Then gacchasi, second person. Gacchasi,
Gacchasi.
gacchataha,
Gacchataha.
thaha, thaha,
Taha.
gacchataha, tha, tha.
Gacchataha.
That tha is, you have to struggle with that. You have to work on that.
Gacchataha.
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 And then gacchata.
Gacchata.
Okay. And then this one is gacchati,
Gacchati.
gacchataha,
Gacchataha.
gachanti.
Gachanti.
So there's a distinction between gacchataha and gacchataha. Taha, taha makes a word of difference in the meaning. All right, this is just a kind of very quick overview. When we go through the course on this 25-week course, we'll be doing much more of these. All right. Any of you joining that program, 25-week? Some of you are.
Me.
Good. Now here is a one verse which is very popular, very well known. It's about Lord Rama and includes all the declensions that they say, all these declensions, 8 of them. So let me just read it quickly, and then we'll see the meaning also. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramenabhiyata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara. It's a very beautiful verse. All about Rama, and then it includes every one of these 8 vibhaktis. So this is Rama. Now this becomes Sandhi, right? So when we have Rama followed by another R, it becomes Ramo. That's the rule of Sandhi. But the word is Rama. But it is the first vibhakti, first one. So Rama is the doer here. Okay? Or Rama, we're talking about Rama. Rajamani, Rajamani. Mani is a jewel. Let me not go through the details here. Okay. So this is it's a very beautiful verse, very commonly mentioned and recited. It's a very beautiful meter here. The meter is in which it is composed is called Manda Kranta. That's a very well-known meter, Manda Kranta. So you have to know where to pause. So for example, in this one, Ramo Rajamani, very small pause. Sada Vijayate, little small pause. Ramam Ramesham Bhaje, same thing. Ramena Abhihata, pause. Nishachara Chamu, pause, Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. I'm just giving you some quick kind of understanding of these different meters that I used. Many of them.
How do you know when to pause?
Based on the meter. Once you know the rules of the meter, then you know where to pause. So
The
like
rule of what?
the name of this meter is Mandakranta. And once you know the rule of the Mandakranta, you know exactly where to pause.
Okay.
For every meter, you have to know the rules. Yeah. Okay. So it's just the meaning here. I contemplate on Sri Rama, etc. It doesn't matter. You can read the meaning and all. But just wanted to give you an idea how, in this one very single sentence, one verse includes all the vibhaktis, all the declensions. All right, so this is all I have for our presentation on the very fundamental guidelines of Sanskrit. This is very high level, 50,000 foot view, you can call it. But we'll go into more details when we start the next round of discussions. And for that, I'm actually using a very standard set of lessons which are available on a single website. Okay, I found that very helpful. So we'll just follow through those lessons. Okay.
Yeah, Subhash, I have a question.
Yes.
When you say shavasana, you pronounce the V like a W.
No. So the word is shavasana.
Shavasana. Yes. Sometimes it sounds like a W.
Well, that's in people in India, they mix up V and W.
Yeah, my mom did that. My mom did that all the time.
So that's very common in India.
Okay. All right.
We don't necessarily distinguish between V and W in India.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Subhash. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? Okay. So let's close the session. Let's sit up straight once again. We'll do Om 3 times and then again do the Shanti 3 times. So let's inhale. Om. Shanti 3 times. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all.
Thank you, Subhash.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Subhashi, I have a